Attraction rarely ends because of chaos. It usually ends because of comfort. Not loud comfort, not obvious comfort, quiet comfort, the kind that slowly removes tension without anyone noticing. Most people don't see it happen because nothing bad happens. No big fights, no betrayal, no dramatic turning point. Everything feels fine. And that's exactly the problem. Attraction doesn't disappear suddenly. It fades quietly. So quietly that people only notice it when it's already gone. When they finally feel it, confusion sets in. They start replaying everything. Every conversation, every decision. I was honest. I was emotionally open. I was always there. So they ask the wrong question. What did I do wrong? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Nothing went wrong. Something went flat. This is the first idea most people struggle with, because we are taught that being emotionally available should bring people closer. And in many ways it does. But attraction doesn't work the same way that trust works. Trust grows from safety. Attraction grows from tension. When emotional outcomes become predictable, tension slowly disappears. And without tension, attraction weakens. This doesn't mean someone stopped caring. It means their nervous system stopped leaning forward. Think about the early stage of attraction, not the fantasy, the feeling. You didn't know exactly how the other person would respond. Their reactions weren't guaranteed. Their emotions weren't fully visible yet. That uncertainty created energy, not anxiety, energy. Now compare that to emotional predictability. You know exactly how they'll react. You know what they'll say. You know how the conversation will end before it even begins. Nothing feels wrong, but nothing feels alive either. This is where many relationships quietly change. They don't break, they settle. And settling feels safe, calm, reliable, comforting. But over time, that same calm removes emotional charge. This is why people say things like, everything is good, but something feels missing. Nothing is broken, but something is gone. Here's where the second mistake happens. When people feel attraction fading, they usually respond by trying harder. They become more available, more reassuring, more open, more consistent. They explain more, they check in more, they make sure nothing is misunderstood. On paper, this looks healthy, emotionally mature, responsible, but attraction doesn't respond to effort the way commitment does. Attraction responds to movement, and predictability removes movement. This doesn't mean unpredictability is the answer. It means emotional certainty can quietly weaken desire. Attraction is not built on logic. It's built on how the nervous system reacts. And the nervous system doesn't respond to explanations. You can't convince attraction to stay. You can only create the conditions where it naturally appears. This video is not about playing games. It's not about pulling away. It's not about becoming distant or cold. It's about understanding how emotional predictability changes the way attraction feels inside the body. Once you understand this, a lot of confusing experiences make sense. Why being better didn't help. Why doing everything right still led to distance. Why attraction faded, even though nothing went wrong. By the end of this video, you'll understand why emotional predictability can quietly kill attraction. And more importantly, you'll understand what actually restores it. Not through manipulation, not through withdrawal, but through emotional grounding and internal balance. To understand why emotional predictability weakens attraction, we need to look at the brain, not opinions, not dating advice. Biology, attraction does not begin with logic. It begins with how the nervous system reacts. The brain is always watching for change. Something new, something uncertain, something that isn't fully known yet. This is how attention works. When the brain senses uncertainty, it releases dopamine. Dopamine is often misunderstood. It's not pleasure, it's anticipation. It's the chemical that says, pay attention, something might happen. Early attraction is powered by this system, not because someone is perfect, but because they are not fully predictable. You don't know exactly how they feel yet. You don't know what the next moment will bring. That uncertainty creates emotional energy. As emotional predictability increases, dopamine decreases. The brain stops anticipating. It doesn't mean interest disappears. It means the brain stops leaning forward. Another system slowly takes over, the comfort system. This system is linked to a hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin creates closeness. It creates bonding. It creates emotional safety. Oxytocin is important. It helps relationships feel secure. But oxytocin does not create desire. Desire needs contrast. Oxytocin reduces contrast. So over time, the emotional experience shifts from excitement to calm. Calm feels good, but calm alone does not keep attraction alive. This is where many people get confused. They think if it's healthy, attraction should grow, but the brain doesn't work that way. It doesn't respond to healthy. It responds to stimulation. Stimulation doesn't mean chaos. It means emotional movement. When emotional reactions become the same every time, the brain adapts. This process is called getting used to things. The brain does this to save energy. If nothing changes, it stops reacting strongly. This is why emotional predictability creates emotional silence. Not boredom, silence. People often feel this silence before they can explain it. They just feel something is off. So they try to fix it. They talk more. They explain more. They reassure more. They think clarity will bring closeness back, but clarity increases predictability, and predictability reduces stimulation. So attraction fades even more. This is the trap. Trying to fix attraction with the same behavior that caused it to fade. So there's another important piece here, emotional balance. When someone becomes very predictable, they often stop balancing themselves emotionally. Their mood starts depending on the relationship. Attention lifts them, distance lowers them. This creates pressure, not spoken, but felt. The other person may not know why, but they feel it. The nervous system senses dependence, and attraction pulls back. This doesn't mean dependence is bad. It means attraction needs a balanced people, not one person leaning and one person holding. When one nervous system starts carrying more weight, tension disappears. And without tension, desire weakens. This explains something painful many people experience. They become better partners, kinder, more open, more consistent. And attraction still fades, not because those qualities are wrong, but because they replaced inner balance with emotional certainty. The brain reads this shift immediately and responds quietly. No arguments, no drama, just less pull. In the next part, we'll look at how this shows up in real life. The small behaviors people don't notice. The habits that slowly flatten attraction, and why most people make things worse without meaning to. Emotional predictability doesn't appear overnight. It builds slowly, so slowly that most people don't notice it. It often begins with good intentions. People want peace. They want understanding. They want things to feel smooth, so they start adjusting themselves. Not in big ways, in small ones. They soften reactions. They hold back opinions. They choose harmony over honesty. At first, this feels mature, responsible. But attraction doesn't respond to responsibility. It responds to presence. One of the first signs of emotional predictability is being available before being asked, replying instantly, explaining early, trying to manage how the other person feels. This removes emotional tension, not conflict, tension. Another common pattern is knowing the outcome too well. You already know how they'll respond. So you shape your words, you adjust your emotions, everything becomes safe, predictable. Spontaneity disappears. Spontaneity isn't chaos, it's emotional movement. Another behavior is over-explaining, talking through every feeling, clarifying everything, making sure nothing is misunderstood. This creates emotional transparency, which feels safe, but attraction needs room to unfold. When everything is explained, there's nothing left to lean into. Then comes emotional dependence, using the relationship to feel steady. Good days lift your mood. Distance makes you uneasy. This creates pressure, not spoken, but felt. The other person senses it. Their nervous system reacts. They pull back, not because they want to, because their body tells them to. This is why people say, nothing bad happened, everything was fine. Exactly. Nothing was happening. Over time, something else changes. Your inner world shrinks. Less time alone, fewer personal interests, less curiosity. The relationship becomes the center of everything. Attraction needs two centers, not one center and one person orbiting it. When distance appears, most people respond the same way. They try harder. More affection, more reassurance, more emotional access. But effort without balance pushes attraction away faster. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Attraction often fades when someone is trying their best, not because effort is wrong, but because effort replaces self-grounding. Another quiet pattern is emotional mirroring, matching moods, matching tone, matching energy. This feels connected, but over time, it removes contrast. Contrast keeps attention alive. Without contrast, interest fades. All of this happens without anyone meaning to. No manipulation, no bad intent, just small behaviors that slowly flatten emotional tension. And because nothing obvious breaks, people don't know what to fix. They think the answer is more communication, more honesty, more availability, but these often increase predictability. By the time someone realizes what's happening, they feel lost. They don't recognize themselves anymore. They feel invisible. In the final part, we'll talk about what actually helps, not games, not pulling away, not pretending not to care, but how attraction naturally returns when emotional balance is restored. Attraction does not come back when you pull away on purpose. It comes back when you become grounded again. Most advice gets this wrong. It tells people to disappear, to act distant, to create mystery by withholding. That kind of mystery doesn't last. It only works until closeness returns. Then everything feels the same again. Real attraction is restored from the inside, not through tricks, through emotional balance. Being grounded means this: your emotions are steady inside you. They are not controlled by how someone reacts to you. You still care, you're still open, but you're not leaning on the relationship to feel okay. This changes everything. When someone is grounded, they respond instead of reacting. Reactivity is predictable. Presence is not. This brings back emotional movement, not because you're unpredictable, but because you're not trying to manage the outcome. Another important shift is having a full life again. When your world becomes small, the relationship carries too much weight. Every message matters too much. Every pause feels personal. Every change feels dangerous. This pressure is felt, even if nothing is said. When your life has more than one source of meaning, that pressure fades. You still value the relationship, but it's not your emotional center. Attraction breathes again when pressure leaves. Another change happens in communication. There is less explaining, less defending, less proving. You say what you feel without long stories, without trying to be understood perfectly. This doesn't create distance. It creates clarity. Clarity allows emotions to unfold naturally. Attraction needs unfolding, not emotional certainty. Silence also changes. Silence is no longer scary. It's not used as punishment. It's simply space. Space allows emotions to settle. It allows curiosity to return. When everything is instant, nothing feels deep. When there is room, the nervous system engages again. Attraction doesn't rush back. It returns quietly. Small signs, longer eye contact, more ease, less urgency. There is no dramatic moment, no sudden shift, just a feeling that something is alive again. This process does not guarantee outcomes. That part is important. People may still leave, relationships may still end, but if attraction fades again, it won't be because you lost yourself. It will be because paths changed, not because you flattened your emotions to keep someone close, and that matters. Because attraction is not something you force or control. It's something that appears when two emotionally balanced people meet without pressure, not when one person carries the emotional weight for both. This is why attraction feels rare and fragile, not because people don't try hard enough, but because they try in the wrong direction. Attraction doesn't grow from more effort. It grows from inner stability, from knowing who you are even when no one is reacting, from being present without trying to hold the moment. That's the part most advice never mentions. And once you understand this, many past experiences make sense. Why being better didn't help. Why doing everything right still led to distance. Why attraction faded even when love was real. Nothing was wrong with you. You just became too emotionally predictable by losing balance inside yourself. Attraction didn't disappear. It went quiet, and quiet things can return. Not through force, not through games, but through grounding.